Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you a $75 SHTF survival kit containing 3 of the most important items that any prepper should own. And starting with number 1 on the list, the most important item is a radio because you want to be able to stay in touch and also listen to what's happening around you. Second most important item is a Geiger counter in case of a nuclear power plant leak, natural disaster, or World War III. And third, a gas mask. I'm going to be going over some use case scenarios, but first I'd like to start off by saying that this video isn't sponsored by anyone. I paid full price for all of these items, and I'm going to be leaving links in the video description and also pinning the comments with the cheapest AliExpress links that I can find for all 3 items. And yes, I do recommend AliExpress because if you're from America, for example, you're probably going to get them for half the price. Now, let's start with some use case scenarios and with the radio. And personally, I recommend the Rattel RT8090, and this is by far my favorite radio. In an SHTF scenario, I would grab this one, and I'll explain why a bit later. Now, in all of the prepping videos, everyone recommends that you have a radio. And this one does come with FM radio, so you can listen to the news and see what's happening in case of a power outage. And that's just a Japanese news station. Now, another reason why I recommend this radio is that it's completely unlocked between 18 and 999 MHz. However, the HF reception isn't that great, but it is usable. I did occasionally hear the HF airband. So what's great about this radio is that it's capable of receiving and listening to a lot of frequencies, and at the same time is also capable of transmitting on a lot of frequencies. However, please only transmit if it's legal in your country, but usually just owning and listening is legal in most countries. And I would recommend you program this radio with the VHF and UHF call frequencies from your country, the PMR channels, the FRS, GMRS channels, and if possible, also search and rescue, fire department, disaster frequencies, Marine Channel 16, which is the international calling frequency for all boats, and Coast Guard. And this radio also allows you to switch modulation between AM, LSB, USB, and FM. So you're also capable of listening to the military airband. And that's thanks to a custom firmware made by M70CM. So when you get this radio, I highly recommend you buy a programming cable for approximately $2. And with this firmware, you also get this awesome spectrum analyzer, which is the reason why this would be the only radio that I would grab in an SHTF scenario. What this spectrum allows you to do is listen to 4 or even 8 megahertz of bandwidth. So you're able to listen to all 80 marine channels, for example, or all PMR 446 channels, all GMRS channels, or all of your fire department channels at the same time. From here, you can change the step size, which is useful depending on the channels. And by pressing the number 3 key, you can change modulation straight from the spectrum. So for example, right now I'm listening between 118 megahertz and 120 megahertz. And if you press the number 3 key, it will switch to AM modulation. I'm going to be making a separate video explaining on how to program the radio for an SHTF scenario. For example, what are the most must-have frequencies in your radio and how you can get them depending on your country. So if you guys like to see that, please don't forget to subscribe and click that bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Now, one more optional item that I highly recommend when buying this kit is getting a decent antenna. And this one is the Bree AR771. I'm going to be leaving a link to it, and it only costs approximately $2.50. But the reception and transmission is going to be a lot better.
And the straw has a little valve that you then have to open before you drink, and most importantly, you have to close that valve when you're done drinking. Otherwise, your drink will go into the atmosphere for everybody to experience. Over.
And that was stranded astronaut Butch Wilmore during a pass over Japan. and over there you can see the ISS, and I was listening to it using the same Abri AR771 antenna. One more thing that I forgot to mention is that this radio charges via USB-C. And also, if you want to spend more money and buy a second radio, I highly recommend the new Baofeng UV32. This is for people that need a second radio to keep in touch with someone in a grid down scenario. And I reviewed this radio in my previous video, and it's the only Baofeng that actually does 14 watts. It does have some neat features like Bluetooth programming and also GPS. So you can send your location to a second Baofeng radio and also receive it from another Baofeng radio that's GPS capable. I'm going to be leaving a link to it, and also you can see my video review on my channel. And now let's talk about the second most important item that every prepper needs, and that's a Geiger counter. The reason why I think this is a must-have item for any prepper is because in an SHTF scenario like a nuclear power plant leak, World War III, or natural disaster like Fukushima, if you don't have a radiation detector, you won't be able to see if there's any radioactive particles in your hair, on your clothes, on your kids, on your pets, on your food, on your car, and so on and so forth. Personally, I always have this in my jacket pocket or in my bum bag during summer. And the reason for that is that it's extremely small, extremely lightweight, charges via USB-C, and the battery lasts for 3 days. And I am living in Japan, where they estimate that a 9 magnitude earthquake will hit in the next 30 years. Now, that being said, I do have bigger and better Geiger counters. However, they're almost identical in terms of precision, even though the tube in the pen one is a lot smaller. But again, I did see tests and it works quite well. The yellow one that I'm holding is a Fenirsi GC01 with a custom firmware that's super easy to install. And I'm also going to be leaving a link to it. If you're going to buy it, please make sure you use the link or get the one that's branded as Fenirsi, because there are some fakes out there. And now let's talk about the third item, and also a must-have for any prepper, and that's a gas mask. Now, the reason why you want a gas mask is because in case of a nuclear power plant leak, or a chemical plant leak, or fires like in California, or an earthquake, you don't want to be breathing in radioactive particles, chemicals, dust, or all sorts of other stuff. And I do have a better gas mask, and it's a police-issued Mira safety gas mask that was issued by my former police department. However, that's back in my home country, and I just thought I needed a gas mask here. And even though this one is cheap, I did see reviews of it, and it works quite well. And in terms of filters, I highly recommend these P100 filters. And they are quite inexpensive, so if you can get them from the US, just get them from there. But if you can't get them in your home country, I'm going to be leaving some AliExpress links to them. And even though they're Chinese, I did see video reviews in comparison of the filters, and they work just as well as the original ones. This gas mask also works with the 40mm NATO filter, so if you want to spend more money, you can buy yourself a proper CBRN filter. That filter will protect you against radioactive gases, whereas the P100 will only protect you against radioactive particles. If you want to buy a CBRN filter on a budget, I recommend going to eBay and look for one that hasn't expired. So make sure you check the expiration date. Make sure you have at least 3 years before that. And please check the markings. Personally, in terms of CBRN filters, I recommend either Scott or Mira. They make the highest quality filters. So if you can get a brand new one on eBay, highly recommend it. In the next couple of days, I'm also going to be making a proper bag out bag video showing you what's inside of my SHTF/disaster bag. And the reason why I have that is because, like I mentioned previously, all of my former police gear is back in my home country. I didn't want to carry anything with me. And I'm in Japan. They are expecting an earthquake. And if something were to happen, I like to be a bit prepared. So in the next video, I'm going to be showing you some budget but extremely high quality and awesome stuff like this $12 multi-tool. And this is a copy of the Leatherman Wave. And usually before I buy stuff, I like to see video reviews. So I did see a comparison between this one and the original Leatherman Wave, and it works just as well, and even comes with a belt clip. And in that video, I'm also going to be showing you some of the other radios that I own and recommend for SHTF scenarios, and also stuff like my IFAK/medkit. And I'm going to be making a separate video on this, on how you can make yourself a proper medkit. And that was it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe. Click the bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. If you want to support my channel, you can also buy me a coffee by using the link in the video description, because this channel isn't monetized as of yet. And leave a like, drop a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.